Hi folks, welcome to 3D Design. This short lecture is going to take the place of our class meeting since I ran into some technical difficulties today. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you for the curbside drop-off a week from today on Wednesday, so look for details in the announcements coming up. Let's look at how color affects the design of sculptures through history. And we're starting off with this wonderful Jomon piece, which is an earth-fired ceramic sculpture from over 6,000 years ago. Talked about how color can be intrinsic to the material, as can be seen in this beautiful Inuit piece with the intrinsic color of green and those wonderful veins that run through the stone. You looked at a short video about Louise Nevelson today at the beginning of class. And Louise Nevelson is a very important American artist who uses color as a powerful element within her compositions. She gathers pieces off the streets of New York and composes them into geometric boxes and unifies the compositions with color. I really enjoyed seeing your color combinations, your color wheels made out of three-dimensional objects, and Louise Nevelson is doing something very similar to what you did, although she's composing them into very large sculptures and then creating a sense of unity with color. This is another artist who's working within the same vein as Louise Nevelson. Her name is Nancy Sevier, and you can see how the color of time, the patina of time, the wear of time has given these textures and colors for her sculpture a very profound effect. So when we look at this, we have a feeling of nostalgia. On the other end of the spectrum, here's an artist, Franz West, who's using sort of ungainly forms, awkward shapes with very narrow bases. They look like they're kind of defying gravity, asymmetric balance, and he's using color as a very powerful aspect within his composition. This artist, David Almej, is a Canadian artist. He works very large. He works with wood and mixed media and incorporates a lot of color and texture into his work. You can see his figurative pieces here. They're abstract, but they're also figurative. So we call these abstract figurations, and they're full of color and texture. And he's using lots of mixed media to create his work. Color is an important part of his toolbox. As you can see, he's using these wonderful intrinsic colors of the wood, the plywood, and then the metallic hand for contrast. This artist's name is Grzegorz Gwiazda, and his work is in bronze. It's life-size. You can see it's abstract figuration, and he's using these beautiful colors that come from patina on bronze. And what patina is chemicals applied to bronze with heat to create these gorgeous surfaces. This artist is Manuel Neri, and he uses plaster, and plaster is absolutely white, and he's coloring his plaster with paint. So there are sculptors who use paint directly on the surfaces of their sculpture, and Manuel Neri is one of them. He's using this very bright hue, this very bright orange. Chiharu Shiota is an artist that we've looked at in several different contexts in this class, and you can see that she's working in an installation method here and using the color of textiles to great effect within her composition. This artist, Roxy Payne, creates these trees out of high polished aluminum, and so the color, the element of color, when we describe this piece, is at the forefront of our description. Color shows itself in this beautiful earthy composition of the baby's hand holding the large hand. And here we see a bronze that's weathered with time. It's degraded. It probably had a beautiful patina at one time, but it's been worn away by the weather. And you can see that the really important coloration within this composition is the site that surrounds it. And so think about not only the object itself, but the space that surrounds it, and what kind of colors are those. In a museum setting, oftentimes museums will paint their walls different colors, and we do that in our own houses. And when we look at this beautiful piece from the Song Dynasty, we can see some remnants of color. At one point it was painted. This is carved out of wood. And wood is often painted. It takes paint very nicely. And here we can see the fading glory from this wonderful Buddhist sculpture and the paint that's sort of been faded away from time. So we're seeing the piece not only out of its original context, but also how it looks now as opposed to how it looked a long time ago. This artist is named Anish Kapoor, and he uses the color red to great effect. And Olafur Eliasson is using the color of the changing sky. And so time is an element in this piece, as well as the changeability of time, how the clouds and the sky shifts. So color becomes a very important element when describing his work. Here's another one by Chihiro Shibata. And this piece by Elizabeth Catlett. Elizabeth Catlett is an American sculptor who works in terracotta clay. So she takes her clay and fires it to temperature with no colorants or glazes for very beautiful, soft effect. This piece is an ancient piece, and it's a Mayan sculpture, and you can see the texture of the clay and the color of the clay being an important element when you describe the piece. This is another artwork by Anish Kapoor, and the materials that he's using give an intrinsic type of color effect to the work. He's casting these objects in resin, and of course resin is transparent. And he's also able to make, to color the resin, so there's this beautiful transparent color that we can see a rounded form encased inside this hard geometric form. Anish Kapoor is very, very good with color, and he uses a very simple palette of color. This is an African artist named El Anatsui, and we'll be looking at his work closely in the next module. He is an artist who uses color found objects that he creates into these massive tapestries. And you can see here's a museum installer installing one of his tapestries into a museum context. He uses color in a wonderful way. In this case, it looks like a tapestry, and we see all the vibrant coloration, all those hues that we can assign a name to. Thanks to the color wheel, there's the red and the yellow, there's browns, purples, and greens. If you look closely at his work, you'll see it's made out of very common materials that are all linked together. In this case, bottle caps. El Anatsui is an important artist. He's working with found media and mixed media, and we'll have a chance to talk about his work further in the semester. So that concludes my short color lecture today. Again, I apologize for the technical glitch, and I hope you enjoyed this little walk through three-dimensional color. Keep your eye on the announcements, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. There's also a discussion that's open in the module this week, and I will make sure and link it to an announcement so that you know to participate in it. I look forward to hearing what you have to say, and have a nice afternoon.